This is the port of Corpus Christi. It's considered the energy gateway to the Americas and is the leading exporter of crude for the United States. Now you can imagine, with all this activity, they need a robust approach to facilities management and operations. But today, we're going to focus on how we can take our current data and combine it with derivative data from imagery with just a little bit of help from AI. Taking a look at our map, we can see our 11,000-acre outline of the inner port area at Corpus and our points of interest that we've already gathered to this point. Now, this is a huge area with multiple operators, different kinds of facilities, but fortunately, the Esri team was able to take a trip to Corpus armed with the power of remote sensing.
And so we digitally replicated the inner harbor of the port of Corpus Christi. And then we integrated existing data with foundational data from multiple imagery modalities. And then along with GeoAI, we captured and derived accurate data to build this operational digital twin. For this build-out, we started with high-res satellite imagery from Maxar's archives. And then we tasked satellites from BlackSky to fill in the rest of the coverage. Now, I'm seeing a lot of assets. So we opted to delineate the features by using generative AI in the form of the Segment Anything model by Meta. The model works by taking a text prompt to segment out features. So earlier, we ran it on the prompt, circular tanks. Circular tanks. And we got this as the result. So then we ran it on roads and also on buildings. Because the Living Atlas not only houses this model, but loads of other deep learning packages for things like object detection and classification. And so because of it, we're able to populate the features across the entire site with just a text prompt and some satellite imagery. But what about those things we can't see within the visible spectrum?
For the unseen, we can leverage additional imagery bands like infrared. And through our partners at SatView, we've been able to task a satellite to capture some thermal imagery over the port. Let's zoom in and take a closer look. Turning on our thermal imagery, we can see two hot spots that stand out, one on the north side and one on the south side of the channel. By turning on our points of interest, we can see that we've already captured a VRU over the south hotspot. We don't have anything on that north hotspot yet. So let's zoom in and take a closer look. If I turn off my thermal imagery, we'll see a single stack column attached to a dock. Now, talking to our friends over at the port, we know that this is a vapor combustion unit typically deployed at the docks. So let's go ahead and capture it so that we can now have it on our points of interest. Zooming back out, we've captured some satellite imagery, but you guys have been capturing imagery on the ground for years. And with some of our new functionality in ArcGIS Pro, we can easily bring these images in and visualize them. By selecting my collections and going to my new oriented imagery layer menu, we can zoom in on some of these images around the port. By exploring the image, I can see my current footprint, field of view, and focal point. Now, these images can be captured using quick capture, mobile devices, or any other photo object we might have out in the field. But we can also attach sensors here, like this infrared thermal image of a fixed roof tank. Now, looking at the heat signature coming off the products inside, we can estimate that this tank is roughly 70% full. So, we've used satellite imagery to generate tanks, roads, and buildings. We've leveraged thermal and ground images to verify what's on the ground and generate new data. But Aiden, what if I need higher resolution imagery at a higher frequency?
Well, then I'd tell you that you should probably collect some drone imagery, which is what we did. And then we processed it with the ArcGIS Reality Engine to produce a 3D mesh of some key sites around the port. Here's a loading dock, and whether you're monitoring supply chain flow or inspecting these buildings, the photorealism is pretty stellar. I mean, you can practically hear the seagulls in the background. And over here, we have the construction for the Inner Harbor Bridge project, and it's partially blocking what appears to be some pipes and other materials. But in 3D, we can navigate around the construction, revealing a laydown yard, and now we're totally free to inventory assets and make sure there's nothing missing or damaged. Or we'll pilot along this pipe rack, ensure there's no damage or encroachment, and that our berms are free of erosion. And so we've done a lot of visual inspections and inventories, but there's a lot more information that can be derived from the 3D mesh as well. Like, over here we've got stockpiles, and we need to collect some volume measurements. So the power of photogrammetry comes to our aid once more, and lets us know that the volume is about 28,000 cubic meters. Now let's go look at some tanks. I mean, our entire AOI is covered in tanks. And some of those tanks have a floating roof, which makes it pretty easy to visualize the relative amount of product compared to the total capacity. And if we can see it, we can measure it, right? So with the handy measure tool, I can determine that the diameter of the tank is 151.11 feet, and that the height of the tank is about 49 feet. And do you remember the formula for volume of a cylinder? Well, I do. And with some speedy onstage mental math, we know that the total volume of this tank is about 150,000 barrels, or 75% of the tank's total capacity. And all this with just the static photos coming off of the drone. But didn't our drone collect video as well?
Absolutely. While we had our drone deployed, we not only captured the high-resolution images, but we also captured video. So I'd like to introduce you to a new functionality in ArcGIS Enterprise called ArcGIS Video Server. All of our drone videos can now be hosted and accessed across our entire organization from our portal. But this isn't limited to just the drone videos. Any mobile, security cameras, or any other videos captured can now be hosted. And if we have geospatial capabilities associated with them, we can access them in ArcGIS Excalibur. I'm able to play my video right next to my map. I can see the focal point and the area of my drone footage. And under the tools, I can use the capture video frame functionality to capture an oriented image, submit it to my map, and access it later in a feature class. I have additional tools like edit and collect observations that'll allow me to continue to add points to our points of interest layer, like we've been doing this whole time. Now, all of these things have allowed us to continue to fully flesh out our 3D digital twin.
A single source of truth that provides a framework for continuous updates and allows us to communicate those throughout our entire organization, like this 3D web map. It allows us to easily gauge facilities' overall status and communicate alerts as they arise.
The ability to bring an accurate representation of our field assets into the office gives us an unparalleled insight that will allow us to make quick decisions, drive safety, and ultimately build business value. Thank you.
Thank you.